the hype for Sentry going up and up and up. Nate as saying kind of what I think everybody's feeling. Bring on the Bob, right? That's not his name though, or his superhero name. His superhero name is Sentry. Gentlemen, a 25-year comic history for the Sentry. He debuted in the year 2000, and the way they kind of marketed him was, in fact, with what the original comic story kind of goes down the route of, is that everybody forgot he existed. Right, all the Marvel heroes just forgot he existed, and Stan Lee and the writers and the artists kind of played into this as well. That they were like, "I don't remember making him, but yeah, I guess we did." Very interesting, especially at the turn of the millennium.
Yeah.
So Sentry, a character that has been confused as a Superman like for a long time now. A long time now. SB, I'm gonna throw this question over to you before we kind of start delving very deep into his backstory. As you kept reading Sentry, how did your perspective of the character shift?
It was very interesting because I feel like I've read Sentry in a weird order. I started with the 07 run? Not the World War Hulk, but the
05 run?
The 05 run.
Mm-hmm.
I started with that run first, so that kind of showed like a different aspect to his origin of kind of like him being the forgotten hero and him kind of like forgetting that he started off as Sentry. And then he kind of goes backward into wording that like there's the void that exists. And the origin is just like everybody forgets who Sentry is, and then you see like the whole mental aspect side of Bob and going like crazy that no one remembers who he was. And then realizing why. I don't know, it just felt like it was kind of like it was a reverse order from the two versus how I read them, and I feel like that made it more cool. It was like this is anime movies. There's two movies that are like multiversal and connected, and it's like depending on the order that you read them, it affects the ending of the other, and that's exactly how I felt while reading this. I was like, oh, that's cool. I could like pick up on that, or like I knew like what to expect a little bit. And then after that, I went into the freaking 2023 run, and I was like, holy crap, there's such a switch. But it was, I only read one issue in that run. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, I love your perspective, though. I love your perspective, though, because I think out of the three of us, you were, and I'm not calling you out in any way, you were the last one to hop on. So I was excited to see kind of like how your perspective on the character switched up. Because having already been through that when I read it, it was so interesting, and it hooked me so quick and so fast that I wasn't expecting it. And like he quickly became a character that I really, really liked within the Marvel universe. So Lou, how about you, man? Anything else you want to add to that point?
I think a big thing, Nate, I would recommend even the Spider-Brand's point, like I think the two core Sentry runs when you have 2000 and then 2006, both by Paul Jenkins, the Sentry 2000 piece, I think, especially if you're preparing for Thunderbolts, I think it's a really good place to start because it gives you perspective of this character that they include to what Hero was saying of like the way that they play it, the art, the panels, kind of how the whole story kind of evolves over time is you're taking this character and plopping him into an existing world, but this isn't like a multiversal thing in a way, right? This is just like real and people forgot. And you're seeing the story through his eyes. But the thing that I like about Sentry most is he's such a complex character. Like I can't stand when people are like Marvel Superman. No, dude, no. if you read the 2000 Sentry run, you're going to walk away from this and being like, this guy is super complex. The duality between his split personalities, how he views himself, how others view him, how people view the Sentry, how Bob views Sentry, how Bob views Void, how people view Void. And you're like, you get so many perspectives, but at the end of the day, you feel that Sentry is like the man. Like Sentry is that hero. And it's more than just faster than a speeding bullet type of thing. It's just the respect, though. That's the one thing. You respect Sentry at the end of that initial Paul Jenkins 2000 run for sure. But for me, I did truthfully walk into it and was like, oh, Marvel Superman. That's how I've always seen it. You always see Sentry versus the Hulk in World War Hulk, and you're like, there's no way he could go toe to toe with the Hulk. After this, you're like, can the Hulk go 1v1 with Sentry? Read the story and find out, but it's funny how that flips.
Million explosive suns.
Yeah. I loved it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Giving those for those who haven't read Sentry, a quick kind of overview of the 25 years, where he started, where he's at. So yeah, he started off in his original run, a character that everybody forgot about, one day woke up feeling like he's missing something, and that piece of himself is that he is a superhero. And the initial run, spoilers if you don't want to hear it, but if you do, I still think even if you know it, it's still worth the read, because
you're not getting enough detail.
No. So I, even though we're going to talk about it in detail, definitely still read it. As the series goes on, he's talking to these heroes within the Marvel universe, trying to get them to remember him, because nobody does, literally nobody. So he goes around talking to Reed, he talks to Hulk, he talks to Spider-Man, and they are all, the only one that remembers, interesting enough, is Hulk, because there is the difference in minds between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Reed continues to dig deeper into who the Sentry is, and interesting enough, the Void, who is the split personality of Sentry, his evil side, that is what unleashes the Void, is being remembered, feeding off the fear of people in a way. And Reed basically kind of brings that into the universe. So the first run technically ends with the Void just on his way. That's how the run ends. Super interesting. Lots to break down in that run. But one of my favorite things is that as more and more people remember him, the more he talks to them. He starts off as this like really sloppy guy. Like he's in a wife beater. He literally puts he attaches like a blanket to himself with some clothespins. And as the story goes on, that actually turns into his costume in a really cool way. Like it starts off by the cape attaching itself to like with two S symbols. Mm-hmm. Super cool stuff. Super cool stuff. So yeah, that's how the first run actually ends. So after that, he has a stint in the New Avengers, right? A cool little storyline there, which, yes, introduces the Illuminati, because the Illuminati are like, what do we do with him? Mm-hmm. So read that, because
Carnage.
Yeah, we'll get to that point. We're not there yet. So then after that, you get his second Sentry run. And this delves more into what the Void actually is. The first one just kind of tells you. This second run delves into that backstory. And in reality, who's in charge? Because for, a long time, we're like, well, who actually is in charge of the body of Bob Reynolds? Is it Sentry or is it Void? And both comics don't give you an answer to that. Mm-hmm. But towards the end, you do. And the second run is fantastic, because it tells you this story both through Sentry's eyes, but also through a therapist that helps him. And my God, that poor therapist and the stuff that he has to go through in this series. Into that point, some stuff does happen in between, and then it goes into Dark Avengers. Like he does pop up every now and then, but then he's a big figurehead in Dark Avengers, and Norman basically manipulates him into using him. Yes, that is where the very famous ripping in half of Carnage comes in. It's from the Dark Avengers run. So some stuff happens there. It's a lot of stuff. We can't do justice in terms of like explaining everything because again, it's 25 years condensed into a very quick Spark Notes. But read it; it's definitely worth your time. That culminates in Siege, where they go
Super
after.
quick and easy. That actually, I think that's what I want to say.
Yeah,
It's super quick because they're only like 5-7 issues each.
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, super quick. But yeah, that culminates in Siege where they try to take over Asgard. Then you get the Golden Age of Sentry, or just the Age of Sentry, I think is what it's called, and that is a actual like backstory for Bob Reynolds, the character, and how the Sentry comes to be. It's told in the style of a Silver Age comic, so it might not be for everybody,
Mhm.
but that does delve into who he is, and you ultimately do find out that you would find this out in the original series. I'm sorry, the second run of Sentry, but you find out that Bob Reynolds isn't really a good person. He was a drug addict who was trying to find another fix, and he ended up taking an experimental, basically like super soldier serum, and it gave him the powers of Sentry. And that's kind of what leads into the split for him. Like he's a schizophrenic
Mhm.
also. So super cool the way that they tell the to take SB's favorite saying, the morality duality of this character. Again, a character that I don't think they've done well, or any other character that they've done well as Sentry. Again, pops up in some in between stuff. And like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Then you get the 2018 Sentry run, which finds him. They've evolved now to where the Void can be remembered and people remember him and him facing a new threat. This one is very straightforward and probably my least favorite of like the actual Bob Reynolds focused Sentry runs, but still worthwhile reading. Then you lead into King in Black. So yes, for those that don't know, King in Black, the event where Null, the creator of the symbiotes, the god of symbiotes, comes to Earth and just wrecks everybody, and that includes Sentry. He does a reverse Carnage where he's like, "Hey, I remember what you did to my symbiote. I'm gonna show you how it feels." And it's so yeah. Sentry is currently dead within Marvel Comics. He is no longer in the land of the living. The Valkyries try to go save him in like a tie-in, but he's just kind of like, no, I'm okay. uh, then recently, and this kind of leads off to where SB was saying it took a weird turn. He appeared, or more so, this organization in Doctor Strange's more recent run wanted to use the soul of Sentry.
Mhm.
The Magic Cartel is actually their name. It just came to me. I was like, it's something very silly that even the book is like, really, that's their name. But yeah, the Magic Cartel is trying to use his soul. Doctor Strange stops it, but one fragment of that soul got out, and that leads to a lot of people gaining Sentry's powers. So that's kind of what the new run deals with, is those people getting his powers. Bob Reynolds still isn't in it. And that's kind of where we are at as of the last issue of that run, as of 2024. I think it was last year. Unless I missed something, which I don't think I have. I've been trying to look for it, but
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that's definitely where it ends off, but I'm pretty sure you hit all of them in the some side piece.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with Sentry and his lore really quick. But yeah, I think the biggest bit that I really enjoyed was getting to see how they handle the question of is to be a superhero, do you have to be a good person? Because that's really what most of his runs kind of deal with. It's like, can you be a good person and be a superhero? And actually, I think that first run does it best because they kind of sprinkle it in with Reed as well,
Mm-hmm.
where the failsafe that they kind of have to not make people remember Sentry is that Strange is like, hey, Doctor Strange is like, hey, leave that alone. Like he tells Reed, he's like, stop. He's like, I know you're not going to, and you're gonna doom the world for it, but you need to stop. And even Reed makes like a failsafe for himself to tell him, if you are looking for this, stop.
Yeah.
You need to stop. And he doesn't. Because, if not, you don't get a story. But yeah. And then when you find out the fact of like who really is in control, it makes you look at this into a different perspective as well. So yeah, fantastic stuff with these stories. Just the impact that Sentry has on the greater Marvel universe in the comics is really cool to see.
Dude, as I was reading it, all I could think about what was it? It was Age of the Century, where it's Reed kind of like giving the century to Franklin, or giving the story to Franklin, right? And all I was thinking about, I'm like, damn, just imagine all the Fantastic Four tie-ins and like potential with Century and Doomsday now. It's got me thinking. It's got the I want to see some reference between Fantastic Four and Sentry. I don't know how it's gonna make any sense, but
I think
we'll see.
real quick to those points. And Nate, you had a good question about kind of what key elements in the comics are you hoping they bring into the Thunderbolts. I think a big thing is like they're missing a lot of core relationships between Reed, Strange, Tony. Even there's a point where he's like, Tony, you're my friend. Like you're the only friend that I have at this point. Like those concepts, and then the Bruce Banner Hulk dynamic with him, like those are 4 huge characters that he's going to have no relationship with, right, to our knowledge at this point. But I think the core piece to where, for me, what sticks out when you were going through this again here, I was like, the manipulation aspect of this, and those that see the type of person he is, that junkie, schizophrenic type of person that is Bob Reynolds, we can use that power. How he gets the power, I think they could probably do it, a one-to-one from that perspective. But I think who manipulates him and how does he feel about it? Because maybe we have Val, some other characters that might manipulate him and try to harness that power of, a million exploding suns. But then how is he going to feel being either recruited by the heroes or the Thunderbolts, or is he going to feel manipulated by them? How's the Void going to respond? Like, I'm very curious to see the dynamic that he's going to have with the characters that'll be on screen. Because I think going back to that 2000s run, you have the perspective from the other heroes that say like Sentry is just a revered guy. Like he's the guy that's going to save you. But then you go to the next run, the 05 and beyond, where he's putting people on an algorithm and prioritizing who he's going to save. And he pops in and out, and it's just like, are you going to let people die? Like, what kind of hero are you? Right? I'm going to save the most important things and be everywhere that I can. And then you have the therapist perspective of just kind of that mental duality that he's bringing in. So I think they could go so many different routes, but I loved recapping that just to see the growth and evolution of Sentry over those first 2 core stories, and even the New Avengers tie-in, Bendis's tie-in in between. Sentry's such a fascinating character. Like, it almost makes me feel like and this isn't the same. They're not the same character, but getting inside the mind of Sentry is how I feel like getting inside the mind of Joker is. Like those two, I put those in a very similar way, and I put Sentry more so over Moon Knight. Some people are gonna be like, it's just another Moon Knight. It's not another Moon Knight.
Yeah, Yeah, reading this, you can pick up maybe like certain elements of it, and I think maybe that's why for me the third like kind of Sentry titled run is weaker because it kind of leans into that more like, oh, it's just another Moon Knight. And Jeff Lemire is the writer for it. And
Mhm.
Jeff Lemire has done probably the most famous run on Moon Knight, which is kind of what a lot of people like kind of base their perspective of Moon Knight on.
Mhm.
And even the MCU did too, to be quite honest. And I think he kind of does things a little too similar here. And I think that brought Sentry down, or in this form of storytelling. But yeah, no, he's definitely over Moon Knight because there's just it's a key difference. Like it's a weird way to explain without you reading it just how different they truly are. And it comes into the personalities. It comes into the power set as well, which I think is something we should definitely touch on right after this. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Kind of getting into that power set, a lot of people are confused as to what Sentry's power set is. They're just like, hey, he has super strength, right? And it's like, yeah, he does. He does have super strength. He has your normal like superpowers, quicker and stronger. But there really is no definition of what Sentry can do and what he can't. And that's really interesting. And there's no definition as to what the Void can and can't do. The Void can kind of do anything, really, where in that new Avengers run, we kind of see him just summoning monsters out of nowhere, like these apparitions of monsters, and it takes Emma Frost to come in and kind of calm him down for a little bit. But then we also see physical manifestations of the Void where Doctor Strange has to literally keep him locked up behind this magic reinforced, door. There is no set power set for these characters, and that makes them super interesting.
Dude, what you said right there, just I go back and forth of like what's my favorite run, but the 0506, when you take what you just said and apply that right before you go into that, and then they tell a story, and then you get to the end and you're like, my mind has been blown. it's so good. It's so good. But he is the true definition of like limitless. Like when someone's like, what's his power set? I'm like, limitless. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
He's got
just depends.
technically molecular manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's crazy. Some Wanda level stuff. Better than Wanda level stuff.
Yeah. It's really kind of like dependent on his state of mind a lot of the times, which is kind of what Dark Avengers kind of leads into a little bit. But like if someone were to be like, what the heck is molecular manipulation? You can explain it, but to think of the possibilities, that is genuinely limitless, like you said.
It's crazy to think about. And it makes it crazy to think about how the heck are you gonna deal with them in Thunderbolts and Doomsday. I'm like, just put him against Doom, man. But oof.
I want to talk
Actually,
about
no,
that
he's never faced Doom, right?
before we get done about how we think they're going to showcase his power set.
Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about
You
it
want
now.
to?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's talk about it right now. Like, because I think we're on the power set, and I think that's a good baseline to establish that there really is no explanation for his powers other than he's like genuinely almost this like all powerful being. It just depends on like what the story wants to do with him.
Yeah. The hard part is like my expectation going into this and is going to be he's like the all powerful from the jump. But for the MCU, I could see them kind of nerfing the Sentry aspect of this and then kind of going all in on the Void aspect of this. Of like, you don't know what's going to happen. The Void can do anything he wants. He can be anywhere, wherever.
You've seen him freaking shadowing people already.
Yeah.
He's just been turned into silhouettes.
But
Not even silhouettes, just straight up shadows on the ground.
okay, let me ask you guys this. If you had to compare his strength to a character or a moment or a scene that we've seen so far in the MCU, what would be like that scene he should top as Sentry? That people are like, damn, that for sure is like the most powerful character. Like, what would you need to see to kind of put him on the scale that we hope that he would be on?
Skating through every MCU moment in my head.
I was gonna say probably Thor with the Odin Force
I was thinking about
in
that.
Ragnarok when he gets his
I was
the lightning powers.
I was also thinking of Whip's comment.
Of
Thor's
Thor's entrance on Wakanda. Yeah.
Even Thor holding to when he was making Stormbreaker, that shit is pretty powerful against the freaking star.
Oh dang, we gotta get on streambo.com.
Huh?
Yo, get the heck. Never, every time a fucking shit like that pops up, I'm never on Twitch. Get banned.
But yeah, I think that would kind of be the comparable. If they really want to go big time,
his power is OP.
Yeah, show him like potentially like the power of like an Infinity Stone. That would break a lot of people's minds, I think.
Another runner-up, I think. Hulk smashing that Chidori. Chidori? Is it Chidori? No.
No, Chidori's Naruto. Yeah, I was gonna say we're thinking about some Sasuke.
Wait a second. Yeah, Chidori's. Yeah. Kakashi. Oh, I don't want to think about that. Whatever Hulk punching that ship is pretty powerful.
The Chitauri ship,
in my opinion. The Chitauri, yeah.
Guys, I think he's
that's pretty powerful, and showing him do something like that.
I think his compliment is actually Captain Marvel, probably.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look as like bulky and beefy, and I think Hulk and Thor do like the bulky, beefy movements. But I think when we look at like who's the strongest in the MCU right now, I know everyone was like, it's Namor after he's wet and you throw a hose on him and he's stronger than Hulk and Thor. But like, I think it's Captain Marvel, especially with what she can do, where she can go, and how she can be. Sentry can do all that more.
Would you say higher, further, faster?
Yeah. Wake me up in a hospital bed next to my boy Hank.
Yeah, I do think him being kind of more in line with that would probably set him apart. But I do think like even if he's not like showcasing like insane speed and power, I think, for example, just alone on the trailer, seeing him turn people into smears of shadows is genuinely terrifying. Like, how do you beat that? Like, all he does is like a whip of a hand, and it's just boop. You're now a locked character.
Even that silhouette, that picture they have of him just floating in the sky as a silhouette. Oh my god, that's just like intimidating. If you really zoom in on the eyes too, they're just like tiny, like white marks in there, and I'm like, that is some creepy shit. I can't wait to see how they use them in the Void.
Dude, I'm not gonna.
I want them to go all in on the Void. That's what I really want to see. I said it after I read that 05, 06 run. I remember the first time I ever talked about it on here, I was like, there's no way they're gonna be able to do anything like they could with the Void. And seeing the last two trailers, and then reading more Sentry, I'm kind of changed my mind a little bit, and I'm hoping they really hit with it.
Here,
I mean, as much as I love Sentry, also don't get me wrong, but like the Void, if they do a good one with that, that could draw a lot of cool people into the MCU. Do you think the Void will actually just be shadow form? Will he eventually turn into a full-blown monster? Definitely shadow form. And the whole monster thing was what I was pretty much saying that I doubt they'll be able to pull off. But I think they'll keep him in that silhouette shadow form as the Void, which is I'm fine with.
Here, what do you think of this too?
Yeah, I do think they'll probably keep him more in the Shadow Man form. Besides the full blown monster, I would love if they did full blown monster. But I don't see them doing that
maybe
yet.
It might show.
the
Maybe
thing that
contained rooms, save on budget.
Yeah.
you know what though, I think that they could go bigger, and I think they have. I would hope that the Void is more. I would like to see the Void before he comes. He would be almost like an Alioth type of thing, right? Because even in the first run, like there's like a giant storm that's kind of moving towards New York, and you're just like, what's this? And people are like, well, it's the Void. Like the Void is coming. Like the Void is coming. It is like this monstrous storm. But I think depending on his power set, I do think he should take his like Snape, Kylo Ren look in darkness, like humanoid form, obviously as well. Like have that physical be there. But let's switch him up. I think it'd be cool to make the Void look different based on Bob's mentality and what he's manifesting at the time. Like let his feelings kind of play into what he's showing people versus just having kind of a standard form. I think they'll probably simplify it for the audience for sure. But they could do so much. They could do so much with the way he looks. Oh my god! Like they could go straight, pull it out of Harry Potter level stuff in like the Death Eaters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would love if they kind of play around with forms.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you were saying, like maybe it starts off with him, kind of a big iconic part or a description of the Void is that he's a shadowy man with a fedora and like a trench coat. I would love if they do something with that to start, and then it becomes more like, okay, as you get revealed more what he is, it becomes the evil Sentry that we kind of see in Sentry versus the Void, that book. And then as he keeps going, maybe because we kind of saw in the trailer like Yelena walking into this like shadowy storm cloud. I would love if when she gets there, that's when you kind of get your big reveal of like a shadowy monster holding Bob or Sentry hostage, like his mind hostage, and that's the apparition of fear. You know what I mean?
They can go that shadowy figure trench coat route. Like the Void is willing to get street level. Like you guys think Muse does some bad stuff. Like wait until you learn more about the Void. Like we're not just saying he's some big shadow monster that's like kneel before me type of thing. He's like, I'm going to torture you and just let you bleed out because I'm the opposite of everything that is good. There's a part, and I forget which one, if it's in the 05 or 06, but it's like Bob can save someone from cancer, and the Void, it will give you cancer.
Yeah. It's the 05-06 run where it's the
effect.
Yes. Every person you save, one is going to suffer.
Yes.
You can save 100 people, but the Void is going to end 100 people. And he's going to do it in a very cruel way.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And it's genuinely compelling, like how they write their relationship between each other and how Bob views that as well. Because, for example, a big part of the therapist's problem is that he knows, once he kind of figures out what's going on and he knows and understands fully, he then has to struggle with the fact of, well, my daughter she has cancer and she's dying. There's literally nothing that I can do. And then it deals with the question of, do you sacrifice one life to save someone important to you?
Mm-hmm.
God, this story is, man, dude, so good, dude.
Both of them are so good. And Nate, I know you've been in here, but man, I haven't read a story, or at least a two-parter of kind of the two different runs, but kind of the same story expanding to where it builds so much, not suspense, but like anxiety inside of you, to where I think the therapist says, like, how would you feel if you were responsible for 1 million nuclear bombs? Like, you're holding this, like you're the one who's stopping the detonator from getting pressed. In like the weight that all of these characters have, whether you're hero down to like street level people who know him, you feel the weight on your shoulder when you're reading it. And there are times I remember putting it down, just being like, dang, I legitimately need a timeout because this is getting heavy. Like like the air's getting thick and I can't breathe. Don't do it, Bob.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, people will kind of like describe that for these like very dark books where it's like, you know, they're dealing with these like heavy themes of like death and like suicide and things like that. And yes, those do take, I think, a little more time and toll to read on people. But this is just more of like this existential dread of like what actually life means, the pressures that come with that, and like how do you deal with it if you have the power to deal with it.
Great power, great responsibility. I think I said that when sent that to you, Spider-Man. I was thinking of you. It's in the 0506 start where that's like one of the first things on one of the first pages of, hey, it leads with like great power, great responsibility, but enter the void.
Yeah, which is why I love
Crazy.
when Doctor Strange comes in for Reed, because he does kind of tell him, he's like, dude, you're in this path of like figuring stuff out of curiosity because that's just who you are. And as soon as you're done, you're gonna wish you never did. Because yes, he's done a lot of good, but what follows it is so bad. Like genuinely, and when you think about it and how they kind of frame everything that he does, he helped the original X-Men like really learn how to get over their fear of failure. He is literally like Reed's best friend.
He helped Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
He got Spider-Man in that one picture that
Yeah.
pretty much got him financially stable and
Yeah,
turned him into a hero.
He gets him a Pulitzer Prize and like literally the love and adoration of J. Jonah Jameson. He's able to calm the Hulk down and not
Reed's
like
best friend.
Yeah, and not to revert him back, but to calm him down and make him rational.
Like his literal presence.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. I think I love the Hulk's perspective of that, of just really describing what it means to be around Sentry, of like more of a feel, where the other characters like Spider-Man is just like Sentry is this great thing, and then you get that perspective through there, and then you have like the X-Men piece of it. But I really, really, really liked the Hulk's aspect in relationship with Sentry, of like, oh my gosh. But then when he does later on with the Hulk, like, bro,
it's terribly sad seeing where it ends up in that other run.
Have you guys ever seen Hulk scared?
Not like, just scared, but terrified. Yeah. And they set it up so well because they allude
real low.
Yeah, they allude to how it makes him feel, but you never like fully understand it. You're just like, he tells him, hey Hulk, I need you to be brave. Yeah. And he tells him, like, I think Hulk's literal answer is like, for you, Hulk will be the bravest there ever is. Yes, and you're like, bro, why is the Hulk saying that? What? Like, you don't think the Hulk needs to say that. And then I love when in that issue of the tie-in for the Sentry Hulk, where once Bob is kind of gone out of his life, the way the narrator of the book kind of frames it, it's like, what do you do when he's gone? You throw a tantrum like you always do. And that's how the book ends. And it's Hulk being destructive. Again, showing like the duality of both. Because that's kind of what Hulk is as a character. He's this force for good, but when he's not, he's not.
Right. Which, dude, even in World War Hulk, they touch on these things. And like, you still have the Bob Sentry piece of like, can I go all out to stop this Hulk? I don't know, because I fear if I do, the Void's going to come out. Like, we have a problem with Hulk, but like, I'm also a giant problem. So if I lose, like, it's not because I lost, but like, in the end, like, y'all got to live. So I'm going to take this shot to the face.
Yeah.
Super Saiyan battle. Oh, I love it. That's one of my favorite parts of World War Hulk.
It's so good. It's such a good battle between them. But yeah, I think that's kind of where it is. I do think that the MCU will use some aspects. I do think probably more so from the first and second run. I think they'll probably do it to where like if he doesn't remember who he is, that's what kind of feeds into the void, not remembering who he is as a person. And I think that's where they'll kind of go. We kind of have seen it with Winter Soldier, where brainwashing super soldiers is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll probably do that to him in some way. That they're just going to be like, hey, we've brainwashed him. We'll brainwash him to forget.
Yeah.
And if he forgets, there's no power.
Yeah, I wonder too if in this, and Spider-Man, I'm curious what you think on this. I'll be curious to see like if he's a worker at the lab or someone's making like they're making that golden super soldier serum somehow to mass produce it. And he does get it. I think the whole sneak in type of thing is right. Whether it's a university, there's a professor, he's a student, maybe he just works there and he's employed, whatever it might be. But I have a feeling that the void piece won't actually come out until they catch him with having the serum and they notice that it's happening post. And that's why he ends up in the facility that he's in. And maybe that's why Val sends the Thunderbolts to be like, I don't know what's up with this, but we need someone to check it out. We need you guys to check it out, or to be a test, because he could be like the next big weapon that they kind of put and sick on the Skrulls in Wakanda. Oh. Sorry. What if my guy hunts the Skrulls? Bang, bang, bang. Oh,
that would be cool. I did want to say earlier, it would be really cool if they make like if Avengers Tower is the Void hideout.
Oh, the Watchtower?
Well, yeah, if that's the Watchtower, that would be pretty cool.
I think maybe by the end of the movie,
Jarvis in there is.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's very possible.
What if Doomsday? What if Doom's true intention is because he knows that this powerful motherfucker is in Avengers Tower as the Void, and that's why he wants to go back and act as Tony Stark. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking here.
So that'll lead into a theory that I kind of got. This is we'll separate this because this does lead into Secret Wars. So I'll be kind of quick and I'll bring this back up later. But both Secret Wars have kind of Doom siphoning power from somewhere. In the original Secret Wars, it's Galactus. He takes Galactus power for himself, and that's what leads him to kind of be able to beat all the superheroes. And then in the 2015, 2016 run, he takes kind of the Beyonders and then also Molecule Man to kind of do that for him. So my working theory, I think, is that Doom is going to kind of siphon energy off a couple of people in Doomsday / Secret Wars. I think in Doomsday, it'll probably start off with him finding a way to siphon off of Sentry. Sentry is going to get him to Loki. And then once he gets Loki, that's what leads to God Emperor Doom in Secret Wars. That's my working theory. I could be wrong, could be true. I don't know. We'll see. But I do think Sentry's going to play a big part in the story, because I don't think they would have revealed him in the chair reveals if he wasn't.
The power source thing is just, that's so money.
He needs him. Like, that's what both Secret Wars runs kind of make clear. It's that he needs those power sources. So I don't see why they wouldn't take probably your strongest character in the MCU, Earth-based wise, with the Sentry. Sentry, what a character! What a character!
Awesome design, awesome power set, awesome. Like, I would be all in for a Sentry series. Listen, y'all, Sentry. My hope for the character, like, we love the runs, but my hope for him going into Doomsday, now that we know that he's announced for it, is that he's must see, and he steals the show whenever he's on screen. I hope he feels better than, or as good as we feel like when Chris Hemsworth shows up. You're just like, bro, if you take out Thor, then you're a bad dude or gal, person, thing. Yeah, gosh, Sentry's so good.
So cool.
MCU, don't mess him up. Don't mess him up.
Please don't mess him up. This is the one character I think they should get right because it would add a lot of confidence in the MCU because they'll know how to properly deal with these characters, but also adding another character that you can kind of put into that new blood of Avengers movies as well, even post reboot. And then kind of like Nate, kind of like what you're saying, if Doom does wipe the floor with Sentry after what we've seen, if he's like someone this very big deal, then it's going to make Doom feel a lot better as well. So
You have a real world where you can get Doom with mystical powers and just being Doom versus Sentry, and then the void spikes and Doom sees that, and that's what stops Doom, and he somehow contains Sentry, and then you get a full-on God Emperor Doom versus Sentry, just like bash. Oh,
please.
oh,
Please. You want to talk about actual peak? That's actual peak.
bro, that's Everest peak, not
Yeah.
my roof peak.